Here's what happened. The last episode I did, I had the take, and it was one of the best takes I had done for the recording of it. And I was so fired up and excited once it was done. But then what happened was I had done just a few other takes before that where I messed up at the beginning and I had to restart it from the beginning. And what happened was I clicked the one that I had just done. That was the best take I had done, and I deleted it. And it was like this moment of like super excited. And then all of a sudden it's like, what did I just fucking do? Like that disappointment just hit. And that can be something that happens for you where you go through these swings in your day or in your week or in your month or in your year where you go through these like incredible moments of feeling like you're making progress on this mission of making burnout extinct. And then it's like the pendulum swing just goes in the other direction. And then you feel like you've just gone backwards. It's like that one step forward, two steps back situation. And what I want to tell you is that can be natural. And I want to share why that is. This is Make Burnout Extinct. I'm Robert David Weeks. Today, I want to say thank you for being here. You could be doing a bunch of different stuff with the distractions that can happen. And so by you being here, it does say something. I want to focus on understanding this pendulum swing that can happen. And if you are new here, welcome. You can subscribe and follow for the latest episodes. And I have a few commitments for you too. So the first commitment I have is to continue to grow this show. And I'm so grateful for the movement that's being built around this one mission of Make Burnout Extinct. And by you subscribing and following this show, it's going to continue to honor that commitment. And then the second commitment I have for you is the commitment to be honest, to share with you the full true experience, not just the results of Make Burnout Extinct, which as the simplest form is feeling that aliveness of life rather than going through the motions on autopilot in your day-to-day life. It's connecting to that excitement for that momentum of going towards the vision you have for your life, of who it is you want to become, and the goals you've set out to accomplish. And then it's the feeling more energized rather than feeling drained. And it's all of those results. And it comes with the hard work and the effort and showing up, putting those reps in for your habits that are helping you to make burnout extinct. The moments where you get off track, having to get back on track. The moments where you have those tornado thoughts of the shame, the guilt, and the frustration of your progress, and having to honor those, but to continue to show up and put those reps in and taking the breaks where you have to. And then reminding yourself that perfection doesn't exist, but your best exists. And that reminder that where you start is going to be where you end up. So start small and build that momentum up. And what's really cool to remember is that burnout doesn't happen overnight. And yes, it doesn't happen overnight to make burnout extinct, but you can notice signals from your body that are letting you know you're headed towards hitting burnout. And you can change your behavior and move towards making burnout extinct. And so what I want to focus on with my commitment of being honest with you is to share with you to the best of my ability the full experience of what it takes. Since my burnout in 2018, after the social media conference where 500 people came together, that's been the last time since I've hit burnout. And what I've realized is based off of your burnout-proof habits, these habits that are there to energize you and help you to recharge. And so I know leading up to my burnout, I lied so much along the way and felt like I had to be perfect and felt like I had to have all the answers and I couldn't share really all the problems I was dealing with. And that was one of the reasons I hit burnout. And so I don't want that I want to make sure I honor that commitment to be honest with you in this show. So thank you for being a part of this movement and for being here. Let's get into it for today. Today, what I want to talk about is this massive swing that you can feel happen either in your day, and I really want to get it to the day itself, but this could be over the course of a few days, even months or years. But really, I want to focus on the days where you experience these big swings and shifts in the emotions that are coming up for you, and then the messages that could be coming through. So how I think about it as the simplest form is like that when you go to the theme park and you go to that ride where it's like the pirate ship, where it's swinging back and forth, like this pendulum is just going back and forth, and like people are screaming along the way. Like that's what it could feel like some days is like, oh shit, like how am I going to get through this day? But it's that pendulum swing that can happen. And what I want to remind you is that it can be natural for this to happen when you are making progress on this mission to make burnout extinct for your life, which again, I want to tell you is absolutely possible for you. We all as human beings have the capabilities to listen to our body and recognize those signals and make those changes. And so it is possible, but as you make progress, you might feel like you've moved 2 steps backwards. And that could be felt in different areas of your life. And so if that is with your personal relationships, feeling like you're making progress and then 2 steps back, if that is in your career and the work that you're doing, the 1 step forward, 2 steps back, or if it's in your health and fitness, feeling like you're taking that step forward and then, man, it's like those 2 steps back happen. So what I want to break down is based off of my own personal experience, what I realized was happening. And you may resonate with this in some way, shape, or form. I believe this is really helpful if you are someone that in the past you realized you've numbed a lot of these feelings that can come up for you, because that happened for me in my life. Is like I trying to be perfect for everyone else and all the shoulds. How should I show up for this person? How should I show up in this situation? I lost connection for many of the feelings that were coming up in my body. And that's where the numbing happened, where I could only really feel like those intense sensations in my body. And then it became harder to notice the signals to let me know that I'm hitting burnout. So if that's also something that you struggle with, of really connecting to your feelings in the day to day and coming back to connecting with your body, then this is going to be super helpful for you. And I feel anyone could get something out of this as well. So I want to get into that personal experience. And then what I'm going to do at the end is go through the body scan again. This one is a habit that you can implement to come back into your present moment, to reconnect with what's going on in your day and notice the patterns, because it comes back to these patterns. I do believe there are patterns that happen within our body, and recognizing that, especially when it comes to hitting burnout. So let's get into it. For how it relates to burnout, it's recognizing that you will have these swings that happen where you make progress towards one of these habits. And again, as I've shared with you before, there are a set of habits every day that decide where we land on this spectrum. Where on one end you've hit burnout, and then on the other end you've made burnout extinct. And I call them these for the habits that help you to make burnout extinct. They are your burnout-proof habits, because you have habits that energize you, which is the burnout-proof habits, and you have habits that drain you. And that could be the habits that lead you to hitting burnout. And it's both the external influences and then the internal influences that decide where you land on that spectrum. So for me, what I noticed was that whenever I would have progress that I'm making with my habits, my burnout proof habits, something would then trigger me to experience some disappointment, to experience frustration, anger, guilt, shame would come up. And I really at times didn't know why that would be happening for me in my body. And it's one of those moments where you can call it like self-sabotage, you can call it procrastination. I mean, there's different forms it can take up on. But when I can take a step back and really look at what's going on here, what I noticed was that my body was trying to create this equilibrium where I'm swinging in a positive direction, a direction I want to move into, but then my body's not used to that. And so I've shared it before, with anything new, it can create uncertainty for the body. And that can then create a fear response from the body, or you think about that as a stress response for the perceived threats. And that what can happen in that stress response is the body tries to pull you back to your old ways and your old habits, because that is familiar. And what is familiar can feel safe, and the body wants to keep you safe. And so in your day to day, when you are experiencing, let's say, a big work project that you get done, and then you start to notice that later in the day you get angry for some reason and you don't know why. That might be with your life partner. That could be with someone you're working with. That could be to yourself, just like getting pissed off at yourself for something like super small, like, oh, you didn't put the plates away, and you're just making this into a bigger thing. That could be signs that your body's trying to pull you back to your old ways. And it's natural for that to happen. And I think about that. If you were someone that would, numb a lot of your feelings, like I did, a way that I would stay safe would be freezing. And so with the freezing, how that literally is like staying in my room when I was a little kid and there was arguments that were happening in the house. I'd stay in my room and just like stay hunkered down and like I'm here. I'm hanging out. And so when you can think about that in your day and take this step back, and I know it can be hard to think about it in this way, but like just imagine taking a step back, imagining your full day. If you have swung into a positive direction and you're used to being like freezing in this middle, then the body can naturally swing you into the opposite direction where it can feel like you're two steps back. And that can be in the form of, again, procrastination with something that you have to get done, self-sabotage. And what it's trying to do is bring it back into that middle where it could be like that freeze state in the middle. And that, again, is natural for that to happen. But what I want to remind you is that when you don't realize what's going on, what it could feel like is frustration. It can feel like anger at yourself. It could feel like I'm such a failure at the habits that I'm working on. Because let's take it in the lens of your burnout proof habits, these habits that are energizing for you. And some examples to help you out would be going out for a walk. That's something with movement to help you to be more efficient in your energy production. It's getting outside, changing your environment. It is being able to boost your mood as well, like having a bigger vantage point, so you're not feeling boxed in. So you're able to see outwardly more, and it can be great, especially if it's warm outside. And so having that shift in perspective could be helpful if you're struggling with a task. So that could be a burnout proof habit for you, where you feel like a moment to recharge. Another one could be journaling, thinking about a burnout proof habit of journaling, getting your feelings out and your thoughts out of your mind and onto a piece of paper. And then another one for burnout proof habit is celebrating the successes that you have in order to remind the body that you want more of this. And it can be a way for the body to release dopamine, that reward for the body, and create this positive loop to want to stay consistent with putting those reps in. If that is getting a work task done, if that is waking up when you said you were going to wake up. So those are some examples for the burnout proof habit. And when it comes to making progress on those habits and you're showing up and you're putting those reps in for the consistency, then if you make that progress, that's where the body can resist you and cause you to like skip a day. And I've talked about this for the habit formation process. This is the angry phase. It's the second phase of the habit formation process where the body's going to resist. And so natural resistance can come up. It tries to pull you back to your old ways. And what can happen is you decide, hey, I'll get to it tomorrow. I'm just not feeling like it right now to show up and put the rep in. Like it's okay to take a break. Like people take breaks all the time. And that's where you can go down these thoughts where when you're really exhausted, it's helpful to have a day off. But there's a difference between that and then making an excuse where you don't show up and put the rep in. And then all of a sudden you're starting a new habit and a new pattern of not showing up and putting the reps in. And what can happen in that moment is then you thinking you're a failure. You thinking like the world's against you. You thinking that this is so frustrating and I'm pissed off that I can't show up and do this damn thing. And then that's where you can get stuck and get into this helpless feeling because you may not realize what's going on. And that comes back to the pendulum swing. When you can realize that this is a natural pattern that can happen for you in your body, you can then take a step back, literally, like is what it feels literally, and notice in your day, oh, I'm not angry at myself right now. I'm not a failure. It's just my body is trying to pendulum swing back and create this really difficult situation in order to balance out this positive thing that just happened in my life. And when that happens, then you're starting to wrap, like it can feel like you're wrapping your arms around this challenge that you're facing. Because when you get more, it goes back to the saying, the more you understand something, the less fear can grow. And so the more you can understand this pattern, the more you can leverage it to help you to move towards who it is you want to become and what you want and to make burnout extinct. And so what happens is when you get angry and you get pissed off at yourself, you can then elevate the stress levels in the body and that overwhelm in the body. And then the anxiety of like, oh my gosh, can I do any habits? And all of that for the body, it can fill up the body, thinking about it like that balloon, where it fills up, fills up, fills up, but then it can get to a certain point where the balloon's going to pop. And that for the body is hitting burnout, which I define it as a major life transition that is forced on you by your body. That's where you've hit the chronic exhaustion, the chronic stress has built the chronic inflammation in the body. And then that's where that feeling of like you can barely get out of bed comes in. So when you can take a step back and notice when you're really angry and frustrated at yourself, and you notice that it's a pattern, then for the body, it's like that balloon, you're letting the air out of the balloon. Then you're able to let that stress out of the body. You're letting that overwhelm out of the body because you realize what's going on. And then it's in that moment where you get to decide which burnout proof habits could help me to recharge in this moment. Do I need to get some water in and get hydrated? Do I need to eat some nourishing food right now because, oh yeah, I haven't ate lunch. And if you're like me, I can get hangry if I don't have any food. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's why I'm also getting really pissed right now, is because I haven't eaten. And then it could also, for another thing to think about too with this, is that when you can identify those different burnout proof habits, then it's able to make it faster to close out that stress loop. Because again, when you get you have that anger build up and that frustration build up, that's creating this open stress loop. And the goal is to try to keep closing those stress loops throughout your day and coming back into being present with your body and reconnecting with your body. So you're continuously letting what is, again, that air out of that balloon. Similar for the body, letting that stress out of the body, the overwhelm out of the body. And then where you can get it by the end of the day, feeling more energized than drained. And what I want to tell you is that perfection doesn't exist. You will have those days where you get off track and where you were like, oh, shit, I knew I was in the pattern, but just I let the day get away from me. That happens. Remembering that tomorrow is a new day to reset is going to be very helpful for you in this process. And then I want to share again those 3 important affirmations to remember for yourself when you're in it. The first is that this is natural. Reminding yourself that these swings are natural. They can happen. The second is reminding that you are safe. Creating safety within your body is so important for this. Where we're about to do that with this body scan is create some safety. And it's looking around you and noticing that there's no immediate threats that are happening. Let's say you're in your bedroom and you're feeling that anger and that the anger and that overwhelm. It's recognizing that you are safe in this room. And then the third one is remembering it's temporary. That with all these emotions that can bubble up, there are messages in those emotions, which is your signal to be like, oh, I haven't drank any water. Let me drink some water. I haven't gotten any food in. Let me get some food in. I haven't gotten outside. Let me get outside. It creates these signals for you to recognize from the message to help you to move towards making burnout extinct. And those 3 are going to be so powerful to hold on to for yourself as you're going through this. So now what I want to make sure you remember is that this can be natural for you. This is natural for a swing to happen in your day where you have something amazing happen and then all of a sudden something really disappointing happens, something that causes anger, overwhelm, this guilt, the tornado thoughts to flow. That can happen. It's noticing that pattern and noticing what your body is doing right now, which is trying to bring it back into this equilibrium. And as you continue to focus your awareness on this, it becomes less intense for these swings. That's the thing, is like you're just not used to this if you haven't had any awareness around this. So when that happens, it's like, you think about it, trying to learn how to ride a bike for the first time. Like it's awkward. It goes back to the habit formation process. That first phase, the awkward phase of habit formation process, it's going to be a little awkward and weird. But as you get more reps in, you're going to get more comfortable with this for the body and recognize what the hell is going on. All right. So let's take a deep breath in. We're going to get settled in for this body scan to really help anchor this in. So deep inhale. And release out. This is one burnout proof habit that you could implement for yourself if it resonates and it feels right as we go through this, of reconnecting with the different parts of your body, noticing the sensations that come up in your body. Because I go back to the more you understand something, less fear can grow. And thinking about these like nearly 40 trillion cells doing their thing for the body, it's pretty epic to witness just how badass that body is. And the body's there to be on your team. And we got to remind ourselves of that. So you can take another deep inhale, get settled in your space, let the air out. If you are driving while listening to this, please keep your eyes open, and you can just listen in as we're going through this. If you're in a space where you can get comfortable, and have this time for you. It's time to reconnect. We've dealt with a lot of stuff that's going on. You're wanting to optimize your day, your week, your month, your year. You have a lot of stuff going on. And you want to make sure you're taking care of everyone else, but you got to remember to also take care of yourself and have this time for you, in order to go out there and support other people in your life. So you can frame it like that. Especially I think about that for you, the high achievers out there. So here we go. Another deep inhale and out. We're gonna have a few minutes together, being able to notice certain things in your space. You can even call it out. I'm seeing a fan. I see a window and a book, feeling centered. If your feet are on the ground, you can notice your feet on the ground. If you're sitting in a chair, which I am, notice my butt in the chair. Getting into this vibe of recharge and reconnection. As you continue to breathe in through the nose, at just what feels like a natural pace, release it out through the mouth. Can even let it out a sigh, like shake it out a little bit even. And let's bring our awareness on up to our head. And if you want to, you can bring your hands up there. I've done that in the past. Or you can just bring that awareness on up in your head and notice what sensations are happening for you. Is there any tingles? Maybe you're just noticing nothing and you're like, I'm just chilling here right now. Maybe you're noticing some pressure. But bring that awareness there for a moment. Just continue to breathe in, breathe out. Realizing how badass the body is. The body's there to take care of you. And you've done so much to move forward in your life, to make that progress. I know that there's been a lot of hard work. It's a reminder that your body's there to be there for you. So you continue to breathe in and breathe out. You can even close your eyes if you like. Again, if you're driving, keep them open, please. And then let's bring our awareness onto our ears. And even you can bring them into the front where your eyes are. I even like to bring my hands. I'm going to bring my hands right over there. I know it might be looking a little weird if you're seeing this on camera or on video. But you know what? This is the stuff that's so important, is just to connect. Even if it looks weird or whatever, it's like, come on, like you're connected with your body here. So then you got connecting with the eyes, bringing it on down. You can even wiggle your nose a little bit. Get a nose wiggle in there. Oh yeah, it's nice. Oh, you might yawn. Oh man, here we go. I'm yawning. Bring it on down to the jaw. Down to your throat. In swallowing sensation. Going on down the throat. Vocal cords. Connecting to the rest of the body. Moving on down to the shoulders. If your shoulders feel like a little tight, just like squeeze them a little bit and then relax them down. Oh yeah. Oh, that's a vibe. Oh yeah. Yep, that worked for me. It feels good. And we can bring it to our chest. You can take a moment and notice your heartbeat. For so long, I was scared of my own heartbeat, to think like my body was doing its thing on its own. Especially if it's difficult with letting go of control here, which I get you, because I'm in for that. I wanna be able to chart my own path and be the captain of my ship for my life. And it's in those moments realizing there's things that are out of our control, being able to let those go. But I get you if that's difficult or if there's fear there. And it's acknowledging that right now for your body. Then being able to move on down your arms, noticing where your biceps. I actually learned a new muscle group way back, the brachialis. I was not familiar with that. The arm. Then we move on down to the wrist. You move your wrists, not move your wrists. Let your hands move. And then you can even wiggle the fingers a little bit. Oh, there we go. Wiggle. Get into spirit finger mode here. Or spirit fingers. And then take a deep inhale. Oh, yeah. And out. Bring our awareness down to your stomach. It's wild, the digestion process that happens. Bringing it on down to the inner groin. Feeling grounded here in this moment. Moving down the thighs. Connecting back to the body. What sensations do you notice? Any tingles, pressure, tension. Noticing that tension and just being with it all. If it happens where it releases, but just letting it be. Realizing it's all natural, because it is your body. Moving on down past the knees, to the calves. Calves are tight. I've been hiking a lot recently, so feeling it. Moving on down the ankles. And then wiggling those toes, getting those toes moving. Get them moving. And then one last deep breath in right here. And release. Oh, yeah. Oh. Coming back into the space that you're in. Taking a moment to look around. Being able to call out a few other new items. I see a plant. I see a frame. There's a light. And then if you have your eyes closed, you can open them up and come on back. If you haven't heard it yet, I believe in you. You are capable as a human being to make this happen for yourself, to make burnout extinct. It is possible. It's recognizing those signals from your body, and that's where it's important to go through this body scan to reconnect with your body and notice those signals, the pressure, the tension. What are the messages and the emotions? Because as I learned that from John Butcher, it's like there is a message that's come through. So it's being able to get that message and then letting it go and moving on, continuing to show up and put those reps in. And what I want to remind you, going back to this quote from John Butcher, is that there is no one right way, but there is a right way for you. You got this.